Hello, everyone. I'm Pharmacist Michael, and today I want to talk a little bit about being yourself. How do we go about just being ourselves and not what other people want us to be or expect us to be? And lately, I've been listening to a lot of people that specialize in psychology and people that are motivational speakers and people who have spent a lot of their lives dealing with happiness and how to really be healthy and live your best life. And so I thought it was a good time to throw this in, and I decided to do it live because I've been thinking a lot about this, and I thought it was good to just get it out there in a raw sense rather than trying to edit it out exactly perfectly. So, what does it mean to be yourself? That's the first question that we have to ask, right? And the answer to that is really it means embracing your unique qualities, quirks, and the imperfections that you have. And truly, you're the only you, right? And that can be powerful. So always remember that there's only one you. And the secret is unharnessing your abilities, your power, and whatever it is that gets you where you want to be. Now, just like everything else, there's going to be obstacles, right? What are the obstacles of being who you really are? Well, the first one is fear, fear of judgment. I can tell you that fear will rob you of, oh, we have comments already. Look at this. Good morning, April. Hi, Janet. Fear will rob you of everything in your life if you let it happen. It will rob you of wealth. It will rob you of happiness. It will rob you of being yourself. It can rob you of almost everything if you let it. So the secret here is not to let that happen, right? So fear of judgment from other people is number one. Pressure from society. Societal pressures can also cause you to become someone that you don't want to be, or become somebody who is not what you were meant to be. Fear of judgment, societal pressures. And the third one is the need for external validation. You know, the only real validation you need is validation from yourself, right? You don't really need to worry, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but you really don't need to worry what other people think about you because at the end of the day, what matters is how you feel about yourself. That doesn't mean that you can be a bad person or you should be a bad person and treat people poorly and be mean and hateful and nasty. That's not what that means. That just means that you shouldn't ever want to put yourself in the position to where you need to be validated by somebody else. So let's look at some of the steps. How do you become the authentic you? What things do you need to do? And you can start these right now to get there. First thing, obviously, is you got to know what the authentic you is. So, what do you, who do you want to be? Reflect on yourself and think about who you want to be. Do you want to be a good father or mother? Do you want to be a super successful business person? Do you want to help people and spend your life helping others? Do you want to travel the world and learn new ways of doing things? Do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to teach people how to do something better? What is it that you want to do? Now, I often tell people you can do anything you want, but you probably can't do everything, right? It's going to be very difficult for you to be a rock star, a teacher, a great father, an actor, and run your business all at the same time, right? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. You're probably not going to be able to be a pro basketball player, a pro baseball player, and I don't know, astronaut, right? So you kind of have to pick what you want to be, and what's really important is what matters to you. What matters to you? What do you want? So that's step one. And if you guys have any questions, please ask them. The questions will pop up on my screen and I'll be able to see them. So, number two, what are you good at? This is important. You know, if you're not good at speaking Japanese, you're probably not going to be a very good Japanese business person, right? You're not going to be good at that. You're going to have to learn to speak Japanese first. So the first thing that you really, or the second thing you need to do, once you figure out what you want to be and who you want to be, is what are you good at? What are you good at? Me, I would say I'm good at helping people. I got a pretty good memory, or it used to be better, but I think I'm compassionate. I think I'm helpful. I think, obviously I have things that I'm not so good at as well, but everybody is like that. So figure out what you are good at. And if you're missing something that you're good at, let's say you want to be a powerful business owner that makes a lot of money, but you don't know how to do that. So what do? You read. You read books of people that have done it. The easiest way to become successful in business is to read someone else's books on how they did it. And the reason for that is you can spend your whole life trying to figure out what somebody else, or you can spend your whole life trying to do things that other people have already figured out don't work, right? So be sure to read. Reading, listening to books on tape, stuff like that is super important. It can bring you a lot of knowledge very quickly. There are several billionaire business owners that have written books and people don't read them. And then they wonder, how did these guys get there? Why can't I do it? First step, read their books. Remember, we all change over time. This is a big one. So, what you decide you want to be at 30 may be a lot different than what you want to be at 60. What you decide you want to be when you're a teenager may be a whole lot different, even in your 20s. So, these things are never set in stone. Always remember, it's okay to change your mind throughout your lifetime. What's important is that you are happy and you're doing what you believe you were put on this earth to do. And that can very easily change over time. This kind of goes along with reading the books and learning new things. And, you have to be responsible for your own life. You're responsible for your success. You're responsible for your happiness. You're responsible for wealth. You're responsible for being a good parent. You're responsible for everything, not somebody else. If you fail, it's never somebody else's fault. It's your fault because you either didn't spend the time learning what you needed to learn, or you made mistakes that you didn't learn from, or you just didn't push hard enough. Nothing in life that's worth doing is ever easy. It's not. It takes a lot of time. If you want to be average, do what average people do. If you want to be normal, Do what normal people do. But if you want to be successful and you want to be truly happy, you're going to have to work on it. What does that look like? Well, we've already talked about reading, but you also have to take care of your body. Your body and mind are directly related to each other. If you don't exercise and you don't eat the right kind of foods and you don't drink a lot of water and you don't follow the 5 pillars of health that I've talked about in video after video, time after time after time again, if you ignore those things, you are never going to get where you want to be. So remember, your mind and your body are very closely connected. They cannot be separated. Spend your energy getting better and ignore what other people think. Do not let your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your wife, your husband, your boss, don't let them squash your dreams. Don't let them or anybody else tell you what you can and can't do. It's your business and your business only. Spend your energy getting better. Do it every day. You need to learn to develop habits that will make you a better person. What are my habits? Well, I try to exercise every day. I read or listen to something positive and uplifting every day. Yesterday, I was having a bad day yesterday. So I spent over an hour listening to Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, people and that was a big reason I'm doing this right now, is because those are the things that give you motivation. People who have been doing these things for 40 years. Ignore what other people think. There's always going to be people that are going to tell you can't do something. Always. And my 2 favorites are Walt Disney was told by one of his teachers he had no imagination. And Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Did Michael Jordan say, "Oh God, I'm horrible. This guy cut me. I'm a crappy basketball player"? No, he worked his butt off and he spent his energy getting better, and he ended up being probably the best basketball player, at least so far, that's ever walked the face of this earth. Now, people might argue that LeBron's better or whatever, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line is he's awful good, right? Never compare yourself to anybody except who you were yesterday. And this is important for a couple of different reasons. One, you never know where they're at in their journey, right? So if I compare myself to Bill Gates, it's not a fair comparison. If I want to be a business person, he's older than I am. He started a lot younger. You know what I mean? You can't compare yourself to other people. You never know what's going on in their life, and you never know how they got where they got. Maybe somebody gave him $10 million. Who knows? The bottom line is you don't do that. Don't ever look at somebody else and compare yourself to them, but learn from them. So I always say one of the most important things I learned when I was doing marketing, network marketing, was find someone that has what you want and do what they do. That is the easiest way to learn. And it's also what I was talking about, reading their books. Find someone who has what you want and do what they do. Hi, Twinkie. Welcome in. But don't compare yourself to them. It's not fair. It's not fair to you. Don't do that. And number 7, and this is the last one, and then I'm hoping that you guys have some questions for me, but if you don't, that's okay too. Number 7, surround yourself with the right people. Do not hang around with people. If you want to be happy, don't hang around people that are sad all the time. If you want to be rich, don't hang around poor people, right? If you want to be a good teacher, don't hang around with crappy teachers. You want to be a good pharmacist, don't surround yourself with people who aren't good pharmacists. This seems so simple, but people don't do it. And why? Because there's a part of us when we're not succeeding like we want to that wants to put other people down because for some ridiculous reason it makes us feel better. You've all been around people that gossip about everybody else, right? Oh, look at her. She's getting fatter and fatter. Or, why is she going out with that guy? Or, why does she talk so much? Why is she always late? They're constantly gossiping about people. Did you see how drunk she got at the party last night? I mean, it's crazy because it doesn't do you any good. What you want to do is you want to surround yourself with people who uplift you, who teach you things, who make you better, make you feel better, make you happier, people who add to your being, right? I'm going to tell you right now, if I get around people who are constantly spewing negativity, I do one of two things. I either leave, remove myself from the situation, or I say something about it. If I can't get away from them, I will say, I really don't want to spend this moment in my life or any moment in my life talking about negative things. If it happens where I work, I always ask them, is this conversation helping patients or is it hurting them? So it's funny. I was listening. I think I talked about this earlier. I was listening to Jim Rohn last night, and he died years back, but he was one of the people. He was actually the person that taught Tony Robbins, but he's touched millions and millions of people. But he was talking about how he used to wake up in the morning and read the newspaper, and he'd read about tornadoes and murders and all kinds of negativity things, right? I mean, that's how he started his day. He'd get his cup of coffee and he'd read the paper. Well, guys, I've talked about this before too. Don't read the news, don't watch the news, don't read the paper. Why? Because it's all negative. Their job is to get your attention. And the easiest way for them to get your attention is to shock you. So they're going to come up with the most negative thing they can to sell advertising. They want eyeballs on their product. Stay away from the news. Read things that are positive. Twinkie says, is it going to matter in 5 years? Yes, that's a good thing to think about. Don't spend 5 minutes worrying about something that's not going to matter in 5 years. It's not worth it. It's not worth your bringing power, right? Spend your time getting better. Do things that make you better. Change your habits one habit at a time. Don't try to wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to change 15 habits. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to run a mile a day. I'm going to read a book today. Don't do that because you'll never make it through. Don't do that. Do it slowly. Start with what you think will help you the most and work your way up to things that are more difficult. Obituaries used to be my first go-to. Yeah, I don't read those. I figure if somebody dies that I need to know died, I will find out sooner or later. So I don't even deal with the paper at all, guys. I don't watch it. I don't watch it. I may look at ESPN for sports news just because I'm kind of interested in sports. So I might look at that, but I don't read the news at all. I've got little things that pop up. I want to know what's going on in the medical field. So I want to know what's going on in the stock market, the economy, stuff like that. So I'll read that kind of thing. But when it comes to sensationalism, clickbait, I don't read clickbait, guys. If I see something that says mother's daughter sleeps with husband on wedding night or something crappy like that, I'm not even going to click. I don't want to read it. I don't care. I don't do it. Yeah, the weather. I'll check the weather. I will check the weather. So realistic expectations are important. I will agree with you. Always realize that your expectations need to be realistic. You can't expect to get from point A to point B if it's a 5-year plan in a month. It just doesn't work that way. You know, the thing is about YouTube that I've learned is, for me, TikTok was easy because I had Jetty May. She told me exactly what to do, and everything happened so fast. And then I get to YouTube and I realize this is a different animal, right? It's just different. There's way more competition. People are way better at it. It takes a lot more time to get the lighting right and figuring out the thumbnails and doing all the things that you need to do to get where you want. Okay, I started in October really seriously, and I'm up to what, 1,300 subscribers? And that amount of time in TikTok, I think I had 500,000. So it's a different thing, but it's expectations. They're not the same app. Is it realistic to get to 500,000 subscribers on YouTube in 8 months? Some people do it. It has been done. It has been done, but it's probably not realistic. Now, if you have been to film school and you already know how, if you're a graphic designer, you've been to film school and you know how to do all these things already, then your chances of getting there are a lot better. But some people say YouTube is like learning how to play guitar, right? First, you got to get the guitar. So you got to get the equipment that you need. And then you need to figure out how to play it. Well, if you've never played a guitar before, you're not going to learn how to play a guitar in a month. It just doesn't work that way. Believe me, I spent years. Okay. You have to practice. And as you practice, you get better. And as you get better, more people want to hear you. There's very few people, except maybe a parent, that wants to hear their kid play guitar when they first learn. Violin too. Violin's even harder. It's probably one of the hardest instruments to play. So I hope you guys have learned something from this. I hope, you know, a lot of what I told you did not come from my brain. It came from other people that I listened to. And I think that's okay. I think it's better to listen to other people that already know what you need to know to get where you want to get, because they probably learned from somebody else too. That's why that's their advice. Don't try to recreate the wheel if you don't need to. So that's my message for today. I'm going to sign off now, and I am going to spend today trying to make myself a better person. I appreciate that, Twinkie. I really do try. My goal, and you know, I want to help people. That's what I want to do. And my goal and the person that I've become has changed a lot since I was in my 20s. I mean, I have morphed into a completely different person. You know, I wanted to be a rock star when I was a kid for years, all the way from the time I was probably 12 or 13 up until I was in my 30s. I tried to do that. And I gave it everything I could, and I practiced all I could, and I found the best people I could, and I tried as hard as I could. And the reason I did those things is because I didn't want to wake up at 58 like I am now thinking, damn, I wish I would have tried harder. I could have made it. Didn't want to do that. So I pushed and I pushed and I practiced and I practiced and I did the things that I thought I needed to do to get there. And then it didn't happen. So I morphed into a different person. And that person was, I'm going to try to make as much money as I can. I'm going to be the best pharmacist I can. And I did that for a while. Okay. In fact, I did that for probably 15 years, maybe 10 years. And then I started Sunshine Nutraceuticals. And when I started Sunshine Nutraceuticals, my whole ability, my entire mindset changed to helping people. Because if you have a health and wellness company, you need to help people in multiple ways if you want to sell your products. Nobody is going to buy something from you just because you have a pretty little sun on your label. They're not. You've got to give them something that other companies don't give them. So I figured I'm a pharmacist and I like to help people. So I'm going to learn as much as I can and I'm going to help the people in my group, in my target audience, the most I can. And hopefully those people will learn from me, follow me, and maybe at least try the products. And if they like them, they'll keep buying them. So that's where I'm at now in this journey is I am trying to get my message out there and help as many people as I can. And you guys notice I don't just throw the products out there all the time. Here's my brain and focus formula. Here's anxiety. This will help you with pain. I don't do that. I talk about it a lot, especially on TikTok. But when I make my videos on YouTube, I'm trying to help people learn things, become better people, learn about medications, learn about disease states, and I bring people on here to talk to me so you can learn things from other people who have already been through it. Think about it. I've had a psychic on here. I have had a hypnotist on here. I've had people who have had horrible disease processes happen to them on here. I've had people who have tried to commit suicide 3 times on here until they found the right pain medication. I've had that same person's husband, that same person's doctor, all kinds of different people. So you can learn from the experiences of others. Okay, guys, I don't want to run this thing into the ground, but the products are amazing. I know Janet, and I agree with you. I, if for those of you that don't know Janet, she's a very successful business person. Um, she has her own line of products, and she really has helped me a lot. I owe a lot to her. Um, I want to say when I tell you guys, find someone who has what you want and do what you do. That's sort of where Janet came from. All relationships morph into other things, but that's I mean, when I first met her, I had no idea who she was, right? And I learn things about her every day. In fact, yesterday I learned something from about her that I had no idea. She came from a large group of psychic. I would never, maybe she told me, but I certainly didn't remember it. So, but she is that person, right? She's find someone who has what you have and do what they do. So when Janet tells me to do something, when it comes to my business, I listen very closely and I do it if I can, right? Because she's already done it. She's already made the mistakes. She already knows what works and what doesn't. So it makes more sense for me to listen to her than just try my own thing and hope it works. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you for coming. I really do appreciate you. I hope you guys learned something and I hope you've enjoyed this. I would like to do the single lives more often too, just because I think it's good for me and I think it's good for the audience. And I don't have to edit them. So my name is Pharmacist Michael. Everybody remember, always be happy and be healthy. And please leave a comment if you either want to be interviewed or if you think of a subject that you want me to cover in the future. So have a great day, everybody. Happy Sunday.